Census shows Britain is no longer Christian. Here's a thought.
Losing your religion. If your faith turns weak, it is time to speak. If your outlook is bleak, in God we seek. If your dereliction is long, it is time you belong. If things have gone wrong, pray your faith is strong.
Yeah.
Well, it seems for the first time fewer than half people in England and Wales describe themselves as Christian. That's according to the latest census that has been published in recent times. Now, the proportion of people said that they were Christian was 46.2% down from 59.3% in the last census, which was held in 2011. Now, of course, in contrast, the number who said that they had no religion at all increased from 37.2% of the population up from a quarter. I asked you, Clergyman Pete, what are the main reasons why Christianity is on the decline?
Well, businessman Mark, this is an excellent question, and one which, if I knew the answer, I'd be Archbishop of Canterbury right now.
Maybe you should be, and we'll get to that.
I should be. Well, we'll talk about that later. But yes, this is an issue. We've seen a melting away of Christian adherents, at least as reported in census over the years. And we've seen the same drop-off in the Church of England, which the church in which I work, since the 80s, paradoxically, in the 1980s, which was designated by the Church of England as the decade of evangelism, more people left the church than in the previous decade. So it's one of those things that it seems that people are at a loss. However, I do have my thoughts, and just as a broad outline, I think there's a couple of things. One is generally in culture, there's a move not just against religion, but against Christianity, just in culture, in Western culture. And it's in favor of something else which we could try and define, but is broadly anti-Christian, let's say, and in defense of things like being anti-racist, being pro-transgender and that sort of thing, and that leads people to be anti-Christian. So I think there's a move in society like that. But the second thing is that it does seem that the most high-profile church in England is the Church of England, and as an institution, and even as local churches, local representatives, and I could, as a leader in one of the local churches, I can say it like this: we really let people down during the lockdowns and not standing up against the vaccines and this sort of thing. And this census was taken in 2021, just as the vaccines were becoming a hot issue, and the lockdowns had been going on. So I think those two things together really point to it. It may be really, actually, it's the movement in culture that is the major driver of this change.
Well, also, there's another couple of points. So I just want to sort of give you my perspective. I agree with you that I think that the church leaders could have done more. I do have an issue with Justin Welby. I think he's a man who doesn't inspire. I don't think he has really hit on what people are really thinking about. And I suppose this is the crucial thing is people want action. They want things happening in their community. Now, hold on, because I know that some people will say, but yes, my local church helps me quite significantly with the local faiths and etc. And they may even call upon other things which you do, which is your food banks and many other things, of course. But what I don't get, if I'm a member of England, Wales, and I look at the Church of England, I don't get a sense of what it really means. I don't get a sense of value, and I don't get the visibility. I think that what we definitely need there is greater and stronger leadership that can actually relate to the public. And I think at times when you have like a pandemic or serious economy or many other issues that we're facing right now, you need strong leaders who can really be on message, but crucially come with something positive to help people. So that's one point. There is another point which is a little bit deeper. And I know that we can take this on a number of scales, but one of the things that I remember when I was at school, long time ago, similar time as you know, we went to school together. Religion was, and certainly Christianity, was embedded in what you did at school.
Yeah.
From when you actually arrived at school and you sang your hymns right the way through to speakers who would come from the church. That does happen, but nowhere near to the extent that it once did. So to a point about why there is a decline, if religion and religious leaders do not have the opportunity to get into the curriculum or to be able to showcase what they do, that's another reason why I think there's some challenges. But Clergyman Pete, I wanted to just give some point of clarification for the audience. So here's what Professor Linda Woodhead from King's College London said. She said, ticking no religion does not mean having no beliefs. Some will be atheists, a lot will be agnostic. They just say, I don't really know. And some will be spiritual and be doing spiritual things. So for the audience, can you just clarify the difference between the being atheist and agnostic? Because that will help people.
Yeah. Yes. So she says correctly that people would be believing in something. They just don't ascribe to one of the known religions. Yeah. So now an atheist, now the traditional definition is what I meant to say of atheist is believing that there is no God. So it's not believing in God, as the philosopher William Lane Craig once said in addressing this problem. That isn't what the atheist means. My cat doesn't believe in God. I doubt he's given it much thought. So not believing in God could just mean you haven't thought about it. So an atheist position is very, very rare. A committed atheists, they don't even feature on the census. They are not very common, not very common belief. The word atheist has changed in belief, change in use, such that the definition is changing, and sometimes it's recorded elsewhere to include agnosticism. Now, agnosticism, the traditional or the definition of this going back through the years is believing that you cannot know if there is a God, if the religion is true. Not that you just don't know, that you cannot know. But both these terms have changed. So I believe if you take the definition of agnosticism, meaning you don't know, and atheism, meaning, well, you don't believe in God, that's probably most of the people in that group. But it's not what we usually meant for the words. So just taking it a bit further, what's agnostic, meaning you believe that you can't know. Atheists believing that you know that there isn't a God. That's a small proportion of the people.
Yeah.
The rest of the people, from my point of view, from a church leader's point of view, are people who, if you enthuse them about your religion, would change their mind. And as she points out, many are spiritual, and so are ripe for recruitment to your religion if you just made an effort to reach out to them.
Well, here's the point. Now, let's put this in proportion as well. So, in England and Wales, Christian, those who deem themselves Christian, were 46.2%. No religion, we've just been coining, is 37.2%. Muslim is at 6.5%. So, Clergyman Pete, I ask you then, to make up the difference, what other religions can you highlight, and what do you think the percentage is? Okay,
well, the other religion that springs to mind is Jewish.
Yes.
Although
what percentage I don't think would that be, do you think? What percentage?
Well, I don't. They have a disproportionate influence, I think. I would say maybe about 1%.
It's half of 1%.
Not bad. Now, the other religion springs to mind is with our new Prime Minister being Hindu is Hinduism.
Yes.
And I think there are a lot of Hindus now. I think they've been moving over from India over the years. There's been temples springing up. So maybe 3 or 4%.
It's not as high as that. It's 1.7.
Okay, right. But what was it before, though? Have they risen?
It has risen, yes. Probably about, I would say, 25%, yes.
25% of them has gone up.
Yes,
other religions, Sikhism. No, Sikhism was highlighted this, the Sikh communities, very strong communities, and protect their community.
What percentage do you think that would be?
For traditional values, but I don't think there are many of them. So if you were saying Jewishness was 0.5%, I'm going to go for half of that again. I'll say 0.25%.
No, it's 0.9, nearly 1%. Yes, remarkable.
Yeah, so that's
the other on the list was Buddhist, and then there's general other collective. But my point is, it's interesting when you put it in percentage terms, you get a sense of where we are. Now, these things, as you say, can be distorted because the COVID situation would almost certainly have changed people's views. Now, true. I wonder if this survey were to be taken again, say, for example, this year or next year, what would the percentage be? We don't know. But here's the thing.
Yes.
I want to ask you, and let's get to this because I know that our listeners are keen on this. What does Christianity and the Church of England and other Christian causes and organizations need to do to boost the popularity and the adoption of Christianity?
Well, I think there are two things. One is the people who say that they're Christian need to be Christian, need to live out in that way, including the leaders. Now, to a large extent, that is the case. You do find that churches together doing things in the community to help the community, but during COVID, that was lost because people just bowed down to what the government said. The church didn't stand up for people. So I believe that a reversion of that, a repentance of that needs to be delivered. Say we're sorry that we closed the churches, for example, when we should have been open for you. I think that's the big thing. It gave the impression that the church cares for you, apart from when you're sick, then you're on your own. It was just, I was going to say unforgivable. In Christianity, everything's forgivable. So get my theology right. But that was terrible. And the other thing is clarity. I think you have to say what you believe and actually believe it. You've got to say that Jesus is Lord and there is no other. You've got to say that Christianity is the only true religion, because all the other religions generally say that. It depends on the religion. Say Islam would say that. You wouldn't say a Muslim saying, no, I'm a Muslim, but it's not true. It's not the only way. It is that's the belief, and Christianity is the same. As part of its belief, it has to believe that it's true. And of course, why else would you believe it? So those two things are important. And the way to do that, I think you pointed it out earlier, businessman Mark, and that is through better leadership. But there's two things against that. One is the system in which we get our bishops appointed has resulted in a lot of bishops being managers rather than leaders. So they can keep, basically that means they can keep the operation going, but they can't give it direction. That's just in broad brush. So we need to have different leaders, a different way of selecting leaders. It needs to be people who are awkward customers, who yet we can get people to follow them by their personality. It needs to be a different sort of person selected. Yeah. But the second thing is there needs to be a royal battle, and it's going to be messy if this happens, and I can see it starting, on what we actually believe. It's going to be bloody, well, not literally, but it's going to be harsh. We've got to sort this out, because if the church is going to go down the route of just believing whatever the latest trend is, then it's going to be lost forever. We need to sort out what we actually believe and then go for it. Now, it could be that what I believe is lost in the church if we have that battle, in which case I need to move on from the Church of England. But we need to have that battle. So I think the only way is to get unpleasant with each other. I think niceness is overrated. Let's sort out these theological differences, yes, and get the right leadership in place, or start a new church.
Yes. Well, we should certainly open up the conversation to our listeners. What do they think? What experiences have they had with either their local church or their just views of Christianity? We would love to hear from them. What say you to close out, Clergyman Pete?
Well, what I would say is this. The census results, the fact that the church let people down, all this doesn't mean anything about the truth of who God is. And if you believe in God, it shouldn't be affected by whether the church has let you down or not, because God doesn't let you down. God will always be there for you. You need to connect with him directly, and any true Christian church should point you in that direction. Believe in God, don't believe in Christian leaders. And that's I think that I can say that as a Christian leader of a local church. But that's about it for this week. Remember to leave a comment. markandpete.com is the place. Remember that God loves you, and even if the church lets you down, he won't. Bye for now. See you next time.